Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be going over 5-man Midas against Electronic Boys. This is game 1, specifically in the player perspective of our offlane player Giant. He played Viper in this game. It was a really good Viper game, and I'd like to talk about in specific the ideas of pushing in lanes, why it's important to farm as an offlaner, why you don't have to constantly gank, and various ways that you need to adapt your gameplay, yes, your gameplay, in order to make sure that you're not feeding when you get put in awkward situations, because there was various points in this game where we had to do a little bit of lane swapping. He got put in a 1v2, and yeah, just in general, he has very greedy other cores. I was a safe lane prophet. Our mid laner was a Kunkka. We, so much lane shove just within those two heroes. Viper also likes to wave shove, so how do you kind of play around your other cores? And by the way, he made some really incredible plays you guys are gonna love. So stay tuned, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Go get your GameLeap sub right now. We put a lot of effort into every single video. Just made a cool new map awareness and teamfight awareness guide over on the website. It's not out yet, but it's going to be coming soon. It was an offlane silencer game I played. Woo! I'm burning myself out. All right, let's get into the video. So getting into the pick, as you can see up here, they had a Nyx, Invoker, ET, Tidehunter, and Spectre. We had an Oracle, Spearbreaker, Prophet, Kunkka, and Viper. So really what we're looking for in our last pick here is anything that kind of just wins lanes. The reason why I say that is, in particular, we feel like we have our catch, right? So we have our catch down, we have a save, we kind of just need a hero that wins the lane, or our other option, in my opinion, is some team fight, right? So we can pick a lane winner and then try to just out-tempo them, which is what we ended up doing, right? We kind of just take the fights to them, we play off the fact that they have long cooldowns, and we kind of just outpace them. So that's what we did this game, right? So that's the drafting perspective here. But we also could have picked team fight to try to match their team fight. They ended up picking Spec, and we just felt like it was the perfect Viper game. I wasted no time in picking this. Usually we would wait with our reserve time, but I literally just snap picked it. I'm like, no guys, we're picking Viper here. It's like they pick Spec, you break his Desolate, you break his W, his E, right? Dispersion, Desolate. You break Kraken Shell, which is so valuable. It makes this hero just not really a problem in a lot of circumstances. And yeah, it just tanks Invoker spells. The only hero I'd say it's not great against is Nyx, because Spike Carapace is like kind of good. But the reality is, if Nyx doesn't have teammates to help kill Viper, Nyx doesn't really threaten Viper too much either, especially considering they removed the break, so you do not counter the corrosive skin. And so yeah, I felt like it was a great Viper game. It's also a good laner with Spearbreaker. If you do that, it's even fine with Oracle as well. All right, so getting into the game, let's sort of talk about how he makes his decisions, right? What factors play into what he does in this lane? So first things first, you notice we have this very deep bottom side ward. It ends up catching vision of 3 heroes. Now, all of a sudden, in a matter of 10 seconds, Giant basically has to decide what he's going to do based on the fact that he's in a tri-lane. What does this determine for him? And so quickly he says in mic, I remember this, he says, okay, it's no problem, I'm just gonna Nether Toxin in the wave. And that's very important, right? Because even though you usually do that, there are circumstances against Spectre where you can just take your Q, because you don't necessarily want to push in the wave. Like, it's not necessarily that valuable to just shove the wave into his tower at level 1. It doesn't do that much. And so instead of doing that, right, taking the poison attack, he quickly makes this adjustment to say, okay, I can just take the Nether Toxin. And it's very important as well that he keeps in mind the fact that they're tri-laning, right? So he needs to go to the right side of the wave, Nether Toxin it out, and then play defensive, right? The worst thing you can do in the laning stage is feed first blood. I mean, obviously, besides getting no creeps, you have to, right, position accordingly and not give up first blood when you're getting tri-lane. That's all you're really trying to do. You're trying to get what you can. And so here, he's getting another toxin in the wave and then adjust based on the enemy's positioning. He catches a glimpse of Nyx on his minimap, so he doesn't have to fully back. Therefore, he's going to step forward. You can see his positioning is based on his awareness. This is one of those things that allows you to become a high mark player that people don't see, because it's literally impossible to see from his perspective. Well, in his camera, that is, but he sees on the minimap or maybe in his peripheral vision the Nyx and the ET top, and this gives him just a second to secure a creep and make sure that the lane doesn't get off to a horrible start. And that's exactly what happens. And yeah, now he's in a decent position. He pushes the lane into the tower. He doesn't have to overcommit for the wave, allowing the ET and the Nyx to set up, and he can kind of just rinse repeat this, right? Getting into the next wave, I will say I think he makes a bit of a mistake just because of a decision that comes out from the ET. So ET says, okay, Oracle's bottom, I need to leave, right? Oracle's bottom I need to leave, because Oracle's really good against ET. The Q on Oracle purges the Astral Spirit from ET, so the hero basically is useless, right? You're literally useless against Oracle. That matchup's terrible. And so he ends up TPing top. I think we knew this, yeah, so I think we had this deep ward, right? So we knew the ET TP'd out. And then because of that, our Oracle TP's top, right? So the Oracle matches. And what Giant should have done when he sees that the Oracle is going to match, or if the Oracle communicates that he's going to match, is instantly shoving the wave with Nether Toxin. You don't want to waste any time. You don't want to static, because if you static the wave in a 2v1, most of the time, unless you're like Timber, you're going to get zoned off the wave, right? You're going to get zoned off the wave, especially as Viper. You're a 275 movement speed hero. You're so slow. Right? It is insane how slow you are. And so he has to push out the wave a little bit faster, but he takes a little bit of time to do it. Positions on the south side of the Nyx, and this ends up costing him a lot of HP. He was trying to bait the Nyx into the Nether Toxin to kind of just protect himself, but ends up costing him a little bit. However, I will say, considering he's in a 2v1, it's not that bad. On top of that, he ends up going down. It's not that bad. It ends up not being first blood. Very fortunate. And now he can come back to lane with quite a bit of resources. Next up, I love Giant's creep aggro. I think he does a great job this entire game of creep aggroing to deny range creeps. Spectre obviously is not that good of a laner. He does have a way to secure range creeps, but it's hard to time. Spectral Dagger at level 1 as well is not good damage. It's 75, extremely mediocre, barely more than Spectre's right click, and so it's not easy. And so you'll see, getting into this next wave in a second here, he's going to pull aggro. And anytime you're good in the lane, right, you're winning the lane, this is a really nice thing to do. Because if the Spectre is to walk up to try to contest the range creep or even dagger it, there's a good chance he'll either get punished, right? Let's say the Spectre's to walk up here to try to secure this creep that's about to die. He'll either get punished, right, just auto-attacked, or it will simply get denied, which is also good. And so you'll see, instead of Nether Toxining in the wave when he knows he's finally in a state of advantage, right, he's not 2v1, 3v2'd, now instead of Nether Toxing it, he's going to adjust to, to just focusing the denies, and that's exactly what he does. And then, once again, more aggro, right? This is why aggro is so important. I can't stress it enough. Because he kills this range creep early, it allows him to then aggro again here. You'll see his mouse quickly shifts over, aggroes onto the Spectre, drags this creep, and now, because of that, he can static the wave here. After he statics the wave here, he moves his camera, aggroes off the Nyx. I don't know if you guys saw that. I'll replay it. I think this is like really crucial. This is some super advanced stuff right here, right? Shifts his camera down using the minimap, right-clicks the Nyx, pulls aggro, goes back to Viper, walks backwards, pulls aggro, and this allows him to deny another range creep, right? It will take a while, but it's another range creep deny. Slowly but surely, he'll get it. And that's key because it's going to help push the next lane in, right? It's going to make sure the next lane stays under the Viper's tower, and the range creep simply dies the fastest and does the most damage and is the most XP. Next, let's briefly talk about itemization. You'll see he has an urn, wand, raindrops, and a mango. The key thing to understand here is that his job is to create space, right? You know, he can flash farm and mana items do that for Viper, right? The mana regen from raindrops and the urn and wand and mango is all great. But at the same time, your job as Viper is to bring attention to yourself, cut waves, and be as tanky as humanly possible in the early game in order to create space, right? So if he, let's say he goes like, I don't know, just rushes phase boots, something like that. Or he goes, what's a greedier build? Like a Gloves of Haste into a Midas. He's like, okay, my game's good. Spectre can't lane against me. I'll just go Midas. The problem with that is that's going to limit his ability to put himself in semi-dangerous positions to create space for his other two greedy heroes. And so anytime you're the offlaner, you need to make an assessment. I'm not saying, guys, by the way, you can never be ultra greedy and go like, I don't know, like Treads Dragonlance this game. That could be okay. But not only is it a great Vessel game, right? They do have some heal heroes within the Spectre, potentially Invoker, right? If he switches to Quas. But it doesn't even go that item. It's more about the fact that you want to buy tanky items. You want to buy items that match what your hero does. And for Viper, that's Wand, Urn, Raindrops. They're some of the most efficient early game items in Dota. Next up, once you know that your lane is free and the enemy completely gives up on trying to contest you, you want to cut the wave, right? You want to make sure you kill it as soon as possible, tank all of it up for your safe lane tower, secure it, and this is the key to Viper, right? I love what he's doing. Because a lot of players, if I skip back, would have made a crucial mistake right here, right? 30 seconds ago. You'll see that we're currently fighting mid. I was mid, Nyx is mid, Tide is mid. Don't you guys think that maybe the Viper should TP in, right? They're under the tower and they're kind of diving. That's what I say in my videos. The problem with it is that he would give anyone the ability to farm bottom and he would lose out on like 500 net worth. On top of that, if they see the Viper TPing in, any set of competent players will run away. Actually, frankly, almost anyone will run away because TPs scare people. And so instead of TPing to a fight that was basically already over and easy to disengage from, he stays bottom. It allows him to get a tower and catapult himself all the way up to 3rd on net worth, even though in the early game he was put in some mediocre laning positions. Now after that, this is my favorite play of the game. I really mean it. Right here. This is why I play Dota. This is the only reason I play Dota. Every other reason, it does not matter. I love this play. I actually think it should become a lot more popular and a lot more standard within like what is a good play in Dota, because almost no one does this, including pros. I don't think do this a lot. But he side pulls 10 minutes into the game. Tier 1 tower dead. Why side pull? Why would you do this? Well, if you think about it, the reasons are actually quite obvious, but no one does it. It pulls the lane back, right? Sure, you can farm it anyway, but it's going to pull the lane back, right? So when this walks over to here, the enemy creep wave, right? This creep wave is going to then push in. So this one's going to push in all the way over to here. And then if the wave is here, Invoker and Spectre can't farm it. If the wave is here, they can farm it because it's close to the tower. Hard to gank them, they can farm it. It's not completely safe, but it's hard to gank him, right? Hard to contest him. And so there's that, right? There's that. And on top of that, it's going to later set up for me to be able to farm, right? Me on the Nature's Prophet. You'll see just in a second here, I end up TPing bottom. I didn't even realize he did this, but the wave was in a very convenient spot for me. If the wave is next to the tier 2, I can't TP and farm it. I might just get TP'd on by a Nyx or an ET and set up on and die. But because the wave is this far back, I'm able to farm up 2 free waves in a very comfortable position. No problem, right? No problem. And it completely allows me to hit my Maelstrom timing even faster. And you can see the value there. Think about how often your carry is having a bad game. You're an offlane player, you had a good start, you crushed your lane, blah, 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 but your carry's a feeder. It's some Luna who's like 0-3, has Brown Boots, Mask of Manus, and a Gloves of Haste queued up, ready to buy that Midas, and you need to do something to help her. That's one of those plays that changes the game. And by the way, you can do it over and over and over again. It's on a minute cooldown. You just need a camp. And that's what he does here. 12 minutes in, same thing. Wave coming back. I'm farming triangle. Kunkka mid. He's got nothing to do. He doesn't want to stand here. He can't TP top. Spirit Breaker's doing it. Even if he did TP top, it'd probably get him killed to the next. So instead, he side pulls, right? He side pulls. This is going to grief the enemy team's farm pretty hard. Farms up the camp. Okay, great. Going to get some denies. And because, think about it, because he doesn't have to go up to here, he gets gone on here. Because of the location of this gank, he lives. He also has all these items which he talked about. Fairy Trinket, Wand, Raindrop, Atos Urn, all these tanky items. Literally lives a 3-man gank, right, if you include the Sunstrike. And yeah, just completely tanks the gank. Allows us to set up onto the Nyx, secure that kill, and eventually move on to the Tidehunter and kill him as well. And yeah, that's why, like, people are like, I don't know why I can't gain MMR. It's a lot of small stuff. All the small stuff adds up, right? And that's hopefully what you're seeing through my videos. It's really hard to do all this. It requires thousands and thousands of hours of gameplay, but you can see like why every decision you make every 5 to 10 seconds changes the game as I feed bottom. Hey guys, clap it up, comment down below. Speed, you're awful. You got carried by Red and carried by Giant and carried by Albino and carried by Dubla. Now at this point in the game, I would say the majority of my analysis is done, but you'll see the effects of him having a good game. By the way, I love the fact that he rushes BKB here. The enemy team is entirely magical damage. I mean, if Spectre is broken, they literally don't do any physical. It's literally 0 physical damage if Spectre's broken. And therefore, I think BKB rush in a game like this allows him to frontline, allows him to guarantee the Nether Toxin going off, which is it's a big deal. It's like, oh, it guarantees that Nether Toxin goes out. Whoa. But no, it's really good. You know, it's a really good Nether Toxin game. You'll see that come into play later. Even against ET, being able to break the ET, no natural order in a team fight. You know how much of a deal that can be? You'll see it in a bit. But nonetheless, getting back into the game, you can see he's taking pretty dangerous farm. I think he should be, right? Ogre Axe, 1700 HP, a lot of magic resist. It's good to take up space, right? You can see me on the Prophet. I'm just like wanking off in the jungle. I'm just having a good time. I'm chilling. He's taking like the deep farm, right? He's pushing in the deep waves. And this is what you should do. As an offlaner, you still push waves. You still farm, especially if you are not a setup hero. Please do not run around and gank 24/7. And then, yeah, as I talked about, his farm comes online and Tight under against the Viper is just such a bad match. It's just so bad. This hero that's usually super tanky just gets full to nothing. Can't do anything. It's pretty rough, and yeah, then they get Vipered. You make one mistake against Viper and you just feed, and that's exactly what happens here. They just feed. And now let's get into what is basically the last fight of the game. I mean, there's technically 2 more, but this is the only real one. You can see once again the Nether Toxin coming out here. I do like the fact that he's friend lining. You know, I think maybe this is a slight overextension, only because we don't really have to fight them. They have like no creep clear. I mean, they literally cannot kill our treants. They can't, I mean, easily kill the treants. They can glyph and, you know, throw some spells at it, but they can't really threaten our Aegis Kunkka off the towers. And so yeah, but either way, it just forces the Tide back to base, and yeah, they basically can't do anything. He'll get healed up by the Oracle, no problem. We'll continue to siege onto the towers, and now the Nether Toxin will eventually come into play as he pops his BKB. Just want to secure the kill. Don't get woken up, and then yeah, here comes the break. On to everybody. Everybody's broken. Literally everybody. I mean, it's such a well-placed Nether Toxin. Shout out to Ebola Bear. He's not good at placing Nether Toxins. Yeah, you can see it's a great Nether Toxin. No order. No Nether Toxin. I mean, literally, the Spectre's like, oh, I can't run into that. He's like, yeah, that spell kind of just ruins my hero. And yeah, they just die. The heroes that would typically do a lot of damage and be pretty tanky don't do any damage and are not tanky. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this gameplay, say shout out to Giant in the comments. Well played to all the boys, obviously. It was a great series. We hope to come in 5th place this season. We might not be the 6th place team. Hopefully, we can come in 5th. But once again, big fight coming out, just such a good Viper game. This hero is so valuable in its favorable matchups, just completely making the Spectre do no damage. Kills off the Tide alone. Most heroes obviously cannot do that. And yeah, it's GG. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you like really can appreciate why the small plays are what makes a good player. And by the way, I'm sure there's a million more small things that I didn't point out, or a million more small things that Giant could have done to amplify his gameplay even more. That's what's so crazy about Dota. There's always a million things you could do better, and I'm not over-exaggerating. If you count everything, it's actually like that. But right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace. And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.